Every evening, right around 6 o'clock, my hand still moves toward the hook by the door. There's nothing there anymore. But my hand doesn't seem to know that yet. For 15 years, that hook held a leash. A worn red leash, softened at the handle from thousands of walks. And at the other end of it, for 15 years, there was Bailey. I got Bailey when I was 26. A golden retriever puppy with paws too big for his body. The kind of paws that told you he'd grow into something enormous and clumsy and wonderful. He was. I still remember the drive home from the breeder. This 8-week-old ball of fur asleep on a towel in my passenger seat, waking up every few minutes just to check that I was still there. I hadn't planned on getting a dog that year. My apartment was too small. My schedule was a mess. And everyone told me it was a bad time. But there's a particular kind of decision you make with your chest instead of your head. And this was one of those. I signed the papers before I'd even finished thinking it through. That first night, he cried in his crate for 2 hours. I ended up on the kitchen floor next to him, just so he wouldn't be alone. And I remember thinking, half asleep at 2 hours, that I had absolutely no idea what I'd just signed up for. I had no idea either that I'd just started the best 15 years of my life. I won't pretend those 15 years were one long, gentle stretch. There were chewed shoes. There was the couch he destroyed the week I brought him home. The vet bills. The mud tracked across every floor I'd just cleaned. Golden retrievers are not tidy animals. They are not quiet animals. They are, most of the time, complete chaos wrapped in fur. But every single evening, at 6 o'clock, chaos would pause. He'd sit by the door, ears up, tail sweeping the floor like a metronome, waiting. That walk was ours, not mine, not his, ours. Down the block, past the Hendersons' fence where their terrier would lose his mind, barking, across the little park with the bent basketball hoop, and back around, by the time the streetlights came on. I didn't think of it as a ritual back then. It was just what we did. You don't notice the shape of your own life while you're living it. He started slowing down around year 12. The walks got shorter. He'd stop more often, sniffing the same patch of grass for a little too long. And I'd wait, because waiting for him had become its own kind of peace. By year 14, we'd barely make it around the block. Some evenings, we didn't make it past the mailbox before he'd turn and look up at me, telling me, in the only language he had, that this was far enough today. I used to think I was walking him. Looking back, I think he was walking me, teaching me to slow down, teaching me that 6 o'clock could be sacred, even on the worst days, even when I had nothing left to give anyone else. The last few months, I knew, in the quiet way. You know these things before anyone says it out loud. The vet was gentle about it. She always was. She told me that some dogs wait until their person is ready, and some dogs decide on their own. And there's no way to know which kind you have until it happens. Bailey decided on his own. He passed in his sleep, in the spring, in the same corner of the living room, where he'd slept for years, in the patch of sun that moved across the floor every afternoon. I found him there in the morning, looking, if I'm honest, more peaceful than I'd seen him in months. I sat with him for a long time before I called anyone. I wanted just a little more time, where it was still only the two of us, the way it had always been. I keep expecting the ache to feel like something dramatic. It doesn't. It's quieter than that. It's 6 o'clock, and my hand moving toward an empty hook. It's the silence where a jingling collar used to be. It's setting out 2 bowls out of habit before catching myself. Every single time. Like the mistake is new. Grief for a dog doesn't get talked about the way grief for a person does. People say he was just a dog. Like that makes it smaller. It doesn't. 15 years is 15 years. 15 years of 6 o'clock is not a small thing to lose. Here is what I didn't expect, though. A few weeks after he was gone, out of habit, or maybe out of something I couldn't quite explain, I put my shoes on at 6 o'clock anyway. I walked the same route. Past the Hendersons' fence, the terrier still lost his mind, out of loyalty to old routines. I think, more than anything else. Past the park with the bent hoop, around the block, back home, right as the streetlights came on. I did it again the next evening, and the one after that. Somewhere in those quiet walks, without a leash in my hand, without pause in front of me, I started noticing things. The Hendersons waved now. An older man 2 streets over, walking his own slow graying dog, started nodding hello, then stopping to talk. Then, eventually, just walking with me some evenings. The 2 of us and his dog, not really needing to say much. His name is Walter. His dog is Daisy, an old spaniel with cloudy eyes, who reminds me, more than I'd like to admit, of Bailey in those last slow years. Walter lost his wife 2 years ago, and I think Daisy is doing for him what that 6 o'clock walk did for me, giving him a reason to put his shoes on. A small appointment with the world that doesn't ask too much of him. We don't talk about grief, exactly. Mostly we talk about nothing. The weather, a house being renovated down the street, whether the city will ever fix the pothole by the park. But some evenings, when one of us goes quiet for a minute, the other just lets it be quiet. I think we both understand what that silence is for. Bailey gave me 15 years of company, and somehow, without meaning to, he left me. A habit that's still bringing people into my life, even now. I still reach for the leash sometimes. Probably always will. But I've stopped seeing that empty hook as only an absence. It's also where 15 years of 6 o'clock happen. And some things, once they've shaped you that deeply, don't really leave. They just change shape. If you've got an empty hook by your door too, a leash, a collar, a food bowl you haven't been able to put away, I hope you know there's no timeline for this. Keep the walk if it helps. Put your shoes on at 6 o'clock, even if there's no reason to anymore. Sometimes the habit outlives the reason for it. And sometimes, that's exactly what carries us through. If you needed this today, consider subscribing. New stories every week.